your body. You rock it, empower it, and you take care of it. CSU Health Network is here to answer your questions. Welcome to the CSU Health Chat. CSU Health Chat is a program paid for by the CSU Health Network. All content is controlled by the CSU Health Network.
Hello and welcome back to another segment of Health Network, brought to you by CSU Health Network. I'm your host, Wayne Stafford, and today I'm joined by Pam McCracken and Jay Hester, both working at the CSU Health Network. Now today we're talking about a topic we talked about last semester, alcohol, more specifically alcoholic energy drinks. And today we talked to some students on what they think about it, and let's see what they have to say.
The idea of mixing a depressant with a stimulant seems kind of stupid to me, but I've never done it myself, so I don't know.
Not a good idea. Super hyper, and at the same time kind of not knowing what's going on because the effects of the alcohol that's in it. And then the next morning feeling like you don't know if you're tired or awake, or you don't know kind of how you feel. You're kind of sickish.
Well, my old roommate one night decided to actually get Four Loko, and he drank through a couple of them, probably about 1.5, and I came home and he was trying to, give me some and say, here, try this, and I tried a little bit. It was tasted kind of weird, and he eventually went to his room because he was about ready to pass out, and his friend was with him and passed out. Next thing I know, I hear him roaming around in his room and making noises, and I see him burst out of his room and run for the bathroom. Before he makes it, nothing but bright neon purple puke just spews out of his mouth all over the floor. So, as far as I'm concerned, that stuff's not good, because I don't know anybody who would ever want to puke neon purple stuff. So, there you go.
All right, so the big question is whether or not mixing energy drinks and alcohol is more dangerous than just drinking alcohol alone. And what we're here to say is, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think, yes, it is. And part of it is when I work and talk with students about their attraction to drinking energy drinks and alcohol together, part of it is that they think they can party a lot longer, which they technically can. However, they're also going to get a lot drunker. Part of what happens is the caffeine in the energy drink and the other additives mask your level of intoxication. So we're not able to judge how drunk we are. And when we want to quit drinking, normally we're tired or we want to cut back, the energy from that energy drink masks that. And we're not able to gauge, just how drunk we're getting. We tend to drink more.
Wow. And so it just makes you feel like you can take in even more when you should definitely stop.
Right.
And I certainly agree with Pam with that. The sensory cues that you usually have in your body are certainly not there when you are putting it in combination with caffeine. Feeling fatigued, tired, that you usually do sometimes with that inhibition that you get from the alcohol, and you use caffeine in combination with the alcohol. That caffeine will give you that kind of physiological stimulating effect, that fight or flight response, and you'll be able to stay up a lot longer.
Yeah. So it just makes it feel like you can take in more alcohol, and so last time we talked about whether to tell how the tips you can tell whether you should not drive drunk or when you had too much, and with that added caffeine, does that just make that even more difficult, whether or not you should not drive?
Well, I think that, number one, you should never drink and drive, no matter how much you have, whether it's an energy drink or not. The other thing is that some of the studies are showing that people who do combine energy drinks and alcohol are 4 times as likely to take the risk of drinking and driving simply because they think they can. They're tricked into feeling more alert, more conscious about what they're doing when actually their blood alcohol concentration is probably higher. So it's really kind of a dangerous combination for sure. But again, preface that we should not drink and drive at all.
Yes, definitely. So we talked to a group in town, Team Fort Collins, and they raised all kinds of concerns about too much alcohol and caffeine in these alcoholic energy drinks. Let's see what they had to say.
How Team Fort Collins feels about these energy drinks is that the contents of one of these drinks tends to be pretty high. The Fusion's Four Loko is kind of the one that's most in the headlines, and I think that is 32 ounces, or maybe just under 32 ounces. So there's a lot of product in this single package. It's 12% alcohol, and there's a really high level of caffeine. I don't know the exact, they don't print the exact amount of caffeine, but it's much higher than a Coke, for example. So putting in a single package a lot of alcohol and a lot of caffeine and sort of presenting it as a single serving because it's in, one can, is problematic.
More specifically, talking about alcoholic energy drinks, for Loco, do you think that this packaging is misleading? The way they advertise it, the energy drink, just like to get you buzzed. Do you think that's misleading? Maybe we shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I think that they're pretty astute about their marketing. Part of what they do is appeal to a little bit younger audience, so to speak, that kind of thing. The one thing that bothers me a little bit about it is there's nothing really on there that tells you just how much the alcohol content is or the caffeine content. And with Four Loko, one of those is equal to 4 12-ounce beers. So if you're drinking one Four Loko, you're actually getting 4 drinks. And that doesn't show how much sugar content or, like I said, the other additives are in there. So part of it is, the labeling and not really being conscious about how much alcohol you're putting into your system.
Jeez, you can probably, with the added caffeine, 2 drinks is like, 24 beers, like, it's a lot of alcohol. With all those increased risks, the signs of, alcohol poisoning can be pretty great. Can you guys explain those signs of alcohol poisoning once again?
Sure.
Some of the common signs would be altered mental state. Usually if somebody is drunk, they can usually carry on the conversation, but when it gets to a certain point, have a lot more difficulties maintaining that conversation. Cold or clammy, pale skin, sometimes depending on the respirations, because you can have decreased respirations. You can have a bluish colored skin. And as far as the with respirations, sometimes it can be irregular, so you can have large pauses in between breathing, also vomiting. And if you vomit or throw up and you don't have that, because alcohol will suppress your neurological functioning, your neurological cues. And so if you vomit or throw up, then your natural gag reflex that you would have or being able to cough is not there, so you can actually aspirate that vomit or right into your lungs.
Yeah. Now, being the college town that we are, we're going to have a lot of students who are drinking. But if someone, a student has an alcoholic drinking problem, what's the best way they can help themselves? What can they do to get help?
Well, I think first of all, it'd be great if they recognize that about themselves, that, drinking's causing some difficulties in my life and I want to change my behaviors. And once they're sort of at that point, what we really recommend is obviously if they're on campus, we've got great resources through the CSU Health Network Counseling Services and the Drugs, Alcohol, and You program. We work with students to, help them get their life back, in a manageable way while staying and remaining in school.
And it's also good to look at the whole reason why you're drinking alcohol in the first place, because a lot of times people usually use alcohol to decrease anxiety symptoms or improve depressive symptoms. You get to see it a lot with social anxiety disorder. If somebody goes out to a party, they're usually very anxious, so it's very easy to drink alcohol. So it's always good to make sure the underlying cause of the reason why you're wanting to go out and drink in the first place. Most of the time it's not just a social thing, it's you're actually treating some underlying condition.
Have either of you worked with students, one-on-one about their alcohol problems?
I think we both have.
Both have?
Yes, absolutely.
That's good. And you guys work with Turning Point. I know you've heard of them. They're they're a counseling service close by campus.
No, well, they might be a resource for us, but for the most part, because students pay a counseling and a health fee, they're eligible to have services here on campus at, obviously a really low cost to them. So we try to encourage our students to stay close to home.
Well, it's good to know. With all these students, getting wild, that there's always help at every corner.
Absolutely.
Sure. It can be tough to, confront a friend, if they have an alcohol problem. And do you have any advice for, those people out there who have that alcoholic friend?
Well, first of all, I really recommend that you do it when you're both sober. That you don't do it when you've been drinking, otherwise it can really sort of escalate the situation. The other part that I recommend is that if you're working with that particular friend, that you put it in the context of how it's affecting you, so you're not pointing a finger or blaming them for something. So for example, I might say, hey, you know what, I get really worried about you when you've been, about your drinking. It seems like you're coming home a lot and you're drunk. Or, I really worry that how you're getting home after you've been drinking, things like that. Sometimes, it's setting up some boundaries. It's saying, I really care about you. You're a great friend of mine, and I'm not going to be able to pick you up anymore after you've been drinking. It's just too difficult on me. So putting it back on yourself. Sometimes a couple things, sometimes they'll just look at you and go, I don't have a problem. Everybody's like me. Everybody does that. And it's not, the friend's job to point out those types of things. What I usually find is when a person's ready to make some changes, they often go back to the person that was open and acknowledged their assistance and their help.
Just show care for them.
Absolutely, yeah. And to keep revisiting that. You may bring it up once, you may get sort of slapped in the face about it, but to wait and to keep bringing up the subject. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, some states have banned these drinks, and the FDA is currently, doing some research to see, how dangerous these drinks are. And I was wondering, what you guys think. Is it necessary for these to be banned, or will it help?
The FDA has actually sent out letters to the, I believe it's the 7 companies that are making these drinks. One of them has actually complied. It's the Fusion company. They've complied as far as stopping production. But the letters that were sent out, this was in November that they sent it out, so this is a few weeks ago. And they're the ones so far, at least information-wise, that I have that have complied. And if they don't comply, then through the FDA, they basically have the ability to seize their that particular product because they want it off the shelves.
I'm not sure how this even got even on the market. Was there some kind of, do you guys know, a regulation? I mean, it just seems like they just put caffeine and alcohol together and just threw it in a convenience store.
Well, I don't know for a fact, but I think, first, you had just the energy drinks.
Yeah.
And then
someone had the great
someone
idea.
had to mix them together. And then lo and behold, let's make it easy and just put it all in one,
just put it all in one
container. The one thing, too, about the mixing of it, they tend to be cheaper than either an energy drink or liquor. They also tend to be larger, so there's more volume of the ones that are mixed together. And so part of what the FDA, too, is looking at is how that is combined and the danger associated with actually purchasing and using that particular product.
Another question I have. I was always wondering, so what kind of alcohol do they put in these energy drinks? I mean, it's like Red Bull, I've had that before, and energy drinks is whatever, but, what is it like? Pacific alcohol? Do you know what kind? I mean, just
no, I don't. I'm like, you mean is it? Well, it's not beer, so it's a hard alcohol. Is it like a vodka or whiskey or something?
Geez.
I don't know. That's a good question. I should really find that out. Do you know the specific ethyl alcohol? I don't think it's Everclear.
That might be why it's so dangerous.
Yes.
Some hard liquor and caffeine.
I'm gonna have to look that one up specifically. Good question.
Well, guys, that was a great talk. I hope that you at home learned some stuff today about alcoholic energy drinks and how you shouldn't drink too much of these things because they can be dangerous. But that's all the time we have today. If you want more information, visit our website at health.coloradostate.edu. I want to thank you guys, Pam and Jay. Thank you guys for coming in. It was a great talk, but that's all the time we have. See you next time.